Hello, artists. Today we are looking at the work of Georgia O'Keeffe and being inspired by her work. So she liked to paint close-ups of flowers as if it was the insect looking at them, but she also did landscapes and skulls and leaves. She's very famous for her flowers. So that's what we're going to be inspired by today. Now we're going to have implied texture. This would be tactile texture where you can actually touch it. This is implied texture though, where it's actually going to feel pretty smooth. It's going to be two-dimensional, but it looks like it goes back in space and would have a feel if you could feel it. So here's my example that I made. You're going to be looking at some pictures of flowers, and we're creating space by overlapping the petals. That's one of our tricks for creating space. We're also going to look at the color wheel and use analogous colors, which are colors next to each other on the color wheel. The background should be a complementary color. So here, the warm colors were used on the flower, and then the cool colors for the background. That's an easy way to do analogous colors, but it doesn't have to be those sets of analogous colors. Okay, to draw your actual flower, you can start with a pencil, but if you use a pencil, don't draw every little detail with the pencil. The pencil is gonna be used very lightly, so hold it like an artist, not like a writer, and you're going to just very lightly sketch out where you want it to be. Mainly this is so that you get the right size and don't make it too small. Okay, so I think I'm gonna move that over a little bit, or make it just bigger, make it bigger. And then this over here, I'm gonna have it go off the page on both sides. Because when I did this one, I felt like this flower was too small. So I would need to add something here, I think. So I decided the next time I was gonna make mine even bigger and go off the page. Okay. Then I'm gonna just very lightly sketch where I want my petals to go. Okay, thinking about the fact that it's gonna be off the page over there. And then I can step back or just, lean back and look at it and see what doesn't look quite right. Then I'll go in and make my details. And then I'm gonna have some petals behind those petals coming out so that I can have that overlapping element. Then once I have that, I'm gonna go in with my black crayon and I'm going to start putting my details. So I think I'm gonna do the center for this one, where it's two different centers, a circle within a circle. And then I'm also going to take some of these small ideas from the middle where it looks like tiny flowers within there in a circle. And then I want the petals to look sort of like this one. Okay, so I'm taking ideas from different flowers. I'm gonna make smaller flowers within this flower, a circle of small flowers. Okay. Then I'm gonna go around and just do my entire design in black crayon. Then I'm gonna start with my watercolor paint. So once I have the drawing down, then with my watercolor paint, I'm choosing my analogous colors and complementary colors with the background. I'm gonna provide you with salt, so you can use the salt technique on the background if you like. You can also add other things to the background. You can have some leaves here if you prefer, or something else if you have another thing in mind. I suggest using more than one color on each petal just to add depth of interest. And when you're painting, actually it needs to stay on the tray. I'm gonna bring the tray up here a little bit. You need to get the paints that you're going to use a little bit wet. Just go ahead and put a few drops in each of them that you're gonna be using without getting that paint on your brush, just to sort of start to wake those up. And then decide what size of brush that you need. Okay, then I'm gonna start with the pink. I'm gonna wake that paint up a little bit. The less water you use, the darker it's gonna be. And I'm gonna add some of this to the center because I feel like that would add more depth if the center of each flower was darker. I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna do the wet on wet technique actually. You can put water all over the whole thing first, then add these colors here, and it will spread out over the next few minutes. I want to make sure that I don't go from petal to petal. So, and you have to work kind of fast when you're using this wet on wet technique. You get water all over the whole thing, and it has to be the right amount of water. If it's too much water, then it's just gonna get all over everything and your paper will be really wavy. There. That's actually a little bit too puddly right there, so I'm gonna spread that out a little bit. There. That's giving those petals a lot more dimension to do that. I already have color on the rest of the flowers, so I'm not adding color over there, but I could do this and then add another color here. Don't forget to clean your brush in between colors, especially when you're dealing with the yellow. So I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow in the center there more. There, I like how that looks a lot better. It's a lot more interesting, it has a lot more depth than it did the first time that I did this, where I only put color around the outer edge. I only have two colors here basically. Now I have several colors. Okay, continue on.